Good morning, good afternoon, guys. It's we're back for another Geek Tavern. It's me, Shawn, and as always, I'm joined by Mike.
Hello.
And Aaron.
Hello.
And, so I, personally, have seen quite a few things since the last time we've met. I saw The Invisible Man, Onward. I watched the entirety of Gravity Falls.
Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, Jojo Rabbit. I just saw that yesterday.
Oh.
I have a thing where Aaron has it as well, where we try and watch a movie at least once a year. Like we watch one movie like at least once a year, and I finished the Lord of the Rings extended edition. I finished that one, so that's one of those.
Oh yeah, we did watch Return of the King.
There's one more that I had that is escaping me. I can't
RV.
think of it, and it was.
RV.
It wasn't RV.
That's our pilgrimage.
It is,
as he said, the once a year a pilgrimage to watch RV.
Some of them being The Thing, Inglourious Bastards, and as always, RV. The hallmark of cinema.
What a classic.
I can't think of the last thing I saw, so you guys can go until I think of it.
I've filmed I don't even know where to start. I didn't think about this, but I found out that How I Met Your Mother was on Hulu again, so I just started watching season 1. Well, as we'll talk about later, obviously I've seen Godzilla finally. One thing I had gotten into, and I actually went and watched the first season already. It was only 6 episodes. The Dark Side of the Ring. It's a documentary series on Viceland, and it's about just different stories in the wrestling world. For example, the new season, it was a part 2 thing on Chris Benoit, who killed his wife and his son Daniel, and then committed suicide. So I went back and watched the first season of that because that new season premiere was pretty awesome. As far as movies, I can't think of really anything that I've seen. With the COVID-19.
Yeah. I remember now. We watched that Pete Davidson movie.
Big Time Adolescence.
Yeah, and
that was pretty good actually.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then we went back and rewatched Austin Powers,
The Spy Who
Shagged Me. Yeah,
I watched all 3 of those last year sometime. It was good.
Yeah,
Classics.
we've been meeting up more regularly since a lot of people don't have work.
Yeah.
And just kind of watching movies with each
There's
other.
absolutely nothing else to do. We
Yeah.
used to go bowling on the weekend, and now we can't do that.
Yeah, I can't do anything for fun anymore.
No comics.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I've had to read digitally for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This COVID thing's really hitting a lot of things hard, but specifically the movie industry. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's transforming it in a way that I didn't think we'd see for a while, because obviously all of the movie theaters are closed down, so that social distancing and everything. And because of that, in order to recoup their losses, I think this is their strategy. A lot of the Warner Bros. And Disney even,
Mm-hmm.
they're releasing their movies to VOD, and you can rent and purchase them from your couch, which I thought was going to be something that would eventually happen, but
yeah.
I didn't. Obviously, this has kind of forced their hand.
I can remember us having conversations a couple of years ago. You, me, and our friend Josh would talk about it, and we're like, why don't they do a thing where people love to go see movies in a movie theater. I completely get that. I'm one of those people. But for the people who don't want to, you could offer that as a video on demand at the same time it's in a theater. I remember having those conversations, but now we're in that reality.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I think kept them from ever doing it was how do you make a price point for that, for one, which we'll get into what the price point is for this actual, it happening. But because how do you acknowledge how many people you have, unless they put a thing do you have this many people? But who's gonna tell the truth,
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like a pay-per-view event or something, where you get a bunch of. I mean, that's what I feel like they're going to have to do if you actually want it, because like one person isn't going to pay $20 to watch a movie. Like, yeah, it's the convenience and everything, but it's definitely going to be like you're going to get people together and then watch it like that. And yeah, I feel like they were not putting it. They weren't doing this option because they want to sell the movie twice. Yeah, they want you to go see it in the movie theater and then sell it to you on video in a Blu-ray or DVD or whatever. So I think that's what was holding them back originally. But now that this current circumstances have, pushed them to this, I wonder, I don't think that it's going to kill movie theaters or anything. Because, like you said, Aaron, there are people like us that like going to the movie theater and watching a movie.
It's more than just the movie.
Yeah.
It's the experience.
It's the whole experience of
it.
And yeah, I think that some people are saying like nobody's gonna buy it for $20 for VOD or whatever, and it's like,
you're right.
Well, that's why you get people together. Like that's how it's gonna be.
One person is going to spend $20 to watch Bloodshot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the movies that they have currently right now, I saw was The Invisible Man, The Hunt, and I think Bloodshot was one. And then Onward, that Disney Pixar movie, that's going to be put on
Disney
April.
Plus.
Yeah, April 1st. Put it on Disney Plus. Yeah. It's not even going. I mean, it is available now on VOD. Right. But if you have
want to wait 3 days, or 4 days to watch it for free through your subscription, why not?
Yeah, if you're going to have a subscription, then that'd be a great option. Yeah. I mean, I think that's going to draw people to Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it'll work in their favor.
Yeah. I don't think that they're going to like drop all of their releases that they had slated on there.
Yeah.
Because I think Onward's kind of an exception because it was already in movie theaters for a little while. So
they figured once everything was lifted, it'd just be too late. It would be several weeks of it being in.
Yeah, because who wants to go see Onward in 2 months at the movie theater
when
all this blows over?
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to drop Mulan on there. I think
did that ever get a new release date? Or are they just waiting until this is over?
I think that they're waiting until China can, go see it because that's where they're going to make all the money is in China with that movie. And I saw that just recently they finally delayed Black Widow. It was like the last bastion.
It was. It was like the last movie to be pushed back. Yeah. And, kudos to Marvel Studios because they waited it out as long as they possibly could to see if this was going to change. And then they went, nah, let's just push it back.
I'm curious to see...
one good thing did come out of this. New Mutants is still in limbo. And it may still be until 2021.
I don't think that movie's ever going to see the light of day.
Well, the biggest pushback that I don't want to just not mention, but I know you don't like the series, but the Fast and the Furious, the new one, got pushed back a full year.
Yeah. That is... I'm wondering if they did that because they wanted to add more effects and things.
I mean, maybe.
Because everybody's like, yeah, we'll push it back 4 months or something. Yeah. I think that was kind of like the standard of what
that's what most people are doing. But you know what's weird? Is James Bond is pushed back the furthest of any movie that was supposed to come out this month.
It was supposed to come out
the whole way to November.
It was supposed to come out earlier too. Yeah. This was a delayed release. It was pushed back before, and now because of this, they're like, all right, just throw it to the,
Yeah, I don't. That's one I don't understand. You don't all right. James Bond is a beloved franchise, but you're not having to fight against anyone for it, and they stuck it on the same weekend that Godzilla vs. Kong is scheduled to come out, along with Eternals.
Yeah.
What a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Why would you push it there? Put it in September. Nothing is coming out in September. Well, now there probably is, but...
Yeah.
The Denis Villeneuve movie, Dune, the entire reason that it kind of even was greenlit for a second, obviously the movie's not out yet, but it got greenlit for another production to, a sequel movie to conclude or whatever. And the main reason that happened is because it was pushed back. It was like in November or December, and it didn't have to fight against these blockbusters. They were anticipating that, people are going to go see it because it's a, recognizable name and everything.
Which is what he did with Blade Runner.
Yeah. But now, because everything's being pushed back, it's going to be crowded, and it's probably not going to make any money.
Yeah.
And that's that kind of sucks. I wanted to see that succeed.
I mean, all these movies are being pushed back towards the end of the year. What was even coming out at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Like,
there was literally nothing.
I know we do this podcast and we talk about movies, but it just dawned on me as we're sitting here, like, what was supposed to actually come out at the end of the year?
I think it's going to be really interesting because next year is going to be crowded or completely vacant, because it's going to have the backlog of whatever, all the movies that were pushed back this year. But all of the productions of the movies that were supposed to come out next year
have now been halted.
Yeah, have been pretty much completely
and even
killed.
Television too.
Yeah, TV.
Like, I know. I don't know anything specific, but I know like there's a ton of shows that are on, hold or whatever. So like, are we just gonna get everything drop next year?
Yeah, I don't know. We're not gonna have. It's gonna be all Friends reruns on on TV and everything. They're going to start playing...
nothing wrong with that on my end.
I don't know. It's going to be really weird to see what's going on.
By the way, Stranger Things 2 is done, right? Filming? Because that'll come out later this year, too.
Stranger Things 4?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
That comes out this year, and I'm pretty sure they did finish filming.
As long as it finished filming, then I would assume...
I don't know. There's a lot of post-effects they have to do with like the Demogorgon and stuff. I don't know if they'll...
Well, you could do that from home, couldn't you?
Yeah, it depends on how powerful your computer is, but
well,
theoretically...
I'm sure they could send them home with stuff. But...
Yeah, I'm sure that...
Because that's one that I really don't want to see pushed back, because I'm just waiting in anticipation.
I never watched 2 or 3 yet.
Well, you got plenty of time.
Yeah, you got... There's nothing else to do now, so you got all the time in the world.
Well, no, we're essential. I don't have time.
Yeah, we're essential.
Well, you got tomorrow and Sunday off.
Well, yeah, I do.
Start watching. We do it. We do it in a 1-day binge. For
I know.
8 hours. We'll just sit there and watch.
Well, that's how I did the first season.
Yeah.
All day, just boom.
Well, because we started watching it and then just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
We're like, do we keep going? Like, this is great.
At the time, I worked at a place where I stayed there and took care of people. So, like, we weren't doing anything that day, so me and my partner at work we sat there and watched the whole season.
Yeah, it became a bit of a tradition for us to watch it all in one
go.
But we were bringing up Chinese audiences earlier, and it's I think it's potent to say right now, their crisis has kind of gone down, be it it's not being reported on as much as it used to, or whatever. That's hearsay. But there was news where they tried to open up a significant amount of movie theaters, like 250 movie theaters or something like that.
Yeah.
And they were going to, let people in again, probably at like 50 people, like how we had the restricted viewing.
Probably.
Probably something along those lines. But it literally didn't even last 24 hours before they're like, yeah, no, close up shop again. It can't be done.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see whenever our theaters and everything's going to open. I saw like a couple of our theater specifically, I know, has taken measures. They're selling popcorn.
I saw
as
that.
like a way to kind of make money, I guess, whenever they can't sell movie tickets and everything.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, it was weird. I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, I could really go for some movie theater popcorn. And then as I'm scrolling through Facebook, I didn't say it out loud. I just thought it, and then I saw Golden Ticket Cinemas is selling popcorn Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 6 to 8 or whatever, and I was like, holy crap.
I mean, it's not a terrible idea.
No, I would actually go and get like a bucket filled with popcorn.
Yeah, I know the people that just do go to get their buckets filled up with popcorn, and then, they just go...
Yeah, you come home and get a red box.
Oh yeah, I've seen several people times that I've been there, like they just come in, get popcorn, and go home anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, it's clearly that happens regularly. So they think it's enough to be open on the weekends. They're not going to be spending much money.
They're able to do that because there's not like an enforced ban
Yeah.
on being open, right?
Yeah. And
Not yet.
yeah.
Not yet,
So
yeah.
it's not yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I know we specifically talk about movies on here, but this virus thing has affected so much in pop culture and just whatever. It's life.
Yeah.
You know what though? As much as it sucks, I've kind of enjoyed it.
I'm sure there's
Because
definitely some enjoyable aspects
it
to
gives
it.
me time to like movies that I haven't watched in years.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I finally have time to where I can sit down. Like, all my conventions are canceled so
Right.
far. I don't have to fret about those. I can't go anywhere or do anything except drive to work when I'm needed and then come home. So I feel like I finally have some time to, like, sit down and rewatch stuff that I really have wanted to rewatch and, like, do stuff that I would enjoy doing. Like, stuff that you're usually like, I'm never going to have the time for that, or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It just feels kind of nice to be able to, like, sit back and kind of, like, reflect on stuff.
Yeah.
It's a little choking, though, because it's been 2 weeks now, I think, since everything started. And it's literally all you see anywhere. I mean, even right now, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's affecting everything, but, I'm sure people are, like, trying to escape it, and it's just, like, it's everywhere. It's so hard to escape.
And actually, it's kind of funny, because a couple of my coworkers were like, I don't know what I'm going to do being cooped up in the house like this and all. And I was like, joke's on you. This is how I spent high school.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't go out and do anything.
Yeah.
I stayed inside and drew pictures and watched movies. I was like, I can go right back into that habit.
Years of academy training.
Yeah, I was like, joke's on you guys. Like, this is not a punishment to me. I mean, at first when they're like, you can't go to the bars, you can't do anything, I'm like, that's going to kind of suck a little bit. But
Yeah,
then
can't
I
go
was
to
like,
restaurants.
I was like, I can just dial it right back into how I used to spend my days in high school.
Hey, it's forcing me to save money in any case.
Yeah.
That's one benefit, is I'm saving a ton of money.
Yeah. An incredible amount of money.
Because going to the trivia at the bar and then going on music night, that's 2 nights out of the week that I was spending like $25 to $30 on drinks.
Wow.
That's $60 a week. Now I'm not spending that money.
Yeah.
I saved that money and got myself a new Gamera.
I don't remember where I was going with that, but yeah, it's affected so much stuff.
I think that the gaming industry is really going to thrive.
And that's one thing I was going to say. He can go back into that form if us being essential workers, if something ever happened and we had to stay home, that's what I would be doing, is catching up on all the video games that I have not yet had the time to complete or even really play. Like, for example, I've only played like an hour of Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
Like, I've owned it since like 2 months after it came out and have not touched it. So
Maybe I can finally play Red Dead 1.
Yeah, you could get through that.
well, there you go. I like that one. But yeah, I don't know if that's where I was going with it. I know, we're talking about how much it impacted the movie business. I just want to shed light on it just because it's one of my passions. I know we're primarily movies, but it's impacted wrestling in a weird way.
God. That was so weird.
Yeah, so they've been doing empty arena shows, which they're just WWE specifically is doing stuff from their performance center.
Is All Elite Wrestling canceled?
No, they're doing. They have like a temporary home in Jacksonville, Florida. So they're doing empty arena shows. They're doing stuff better. They're like cutting to the back. Like this week, they cut to the back, and they had like other wrestlers like gambling on the matches and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So like, they're more entertaining in that aspect.
Their storylines are better.
I was gonna say the first, what was it, Monday Night Raw, after they shut down everything, and they said they were
SmackDown was the first one they did.
Was
actually,
it? Oh,
yeah.
okay, because Raw was the one that.
But I mean, Raw's 3 hours.
Yeah,
So
I know you commented on Matt Reed's post about it when he shared the video of Stone Cold on 316.
Oh, that was the
with
second week they
no
were done.
one there. I was like, this is the weirdest thing
Yeah.
I have ever... Because you're so used to watching people, like, he does the stunner, and you hear the whole crowd just go nuts.
Yeah.
And you don't have that, and it's just so bizarre.
Yeah, it's very weird. But I was also going to say, in that aspect, wrestling is the only thing that's trying to keep going.
I feel like a lot of sports could continue to do so.
Yeah.
Like,
They could, but
I mean,
could you
NBA
imagine
couldn't...
watching hockey with no crowd.
yeah.
I mean,
I could,
just,
but I don't want to.
I feel like baseball is an example where it's like, that's doable without a crowd.
Yeah.
Because it's such a relaxed atmosphere in the first place.
Yeah.
You just need, like, the announcers. They just kind of, chat with each other while kind of color commenting the game. I think that would be something that could totally work.
Certain games have just too many people on the...
Right.
Like, football couldn't work because, football is out right now. But, there's just too many players on the field for that. NBA was pushing it, but they had to cancel because a person caught it on the team.
Yeah.
And then I think another person got it on the same team. So they were just like, yep, we're done. I don't know. It's impacted everybody in different ways. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the wrestling world. And
how's the music industry?
That's another one.
Like being affected by this, because I have no knowledge of that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really.
I think that a lot of like artists, unless you're a band, like you can kind of create your own thing. Like with like 4 people, I think you can like create an album.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, they're probably using this time to write new music. As far as shows goes, obviously they can't do that.
Yeah.
One concert I was going to specifically was rescheduled. It was supposed to be in May. It's now in August. So I'm hoping that it's done by that point. But
Josh's concert, this was the day before they started making closures.
Oh.
He was supposed to go to a concert. It was Wednesday.
Yeah.
And in less than 24 hours before the concert, they emailed him and said that they had canceled it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And pushed it till July.
Who was it?
It was Mr. Small. It wasn't Mr. Smalls. I don't know who he was going to see.
Yeah.
But he and our other friend were going to go, and a bunch of other concerts were getting canceled, but theirs wasn't. And I said, it's below 24 hours before the show. I said, they're not going to cancel it.
Yeah.
Sure enough, they sent him an email and said they were rescheduled.
Yeah.
Yeah, being in Pittsburgh, that...
And I think a lot of shows started to cancel, and they kind of got pushed into cancellation.
Yeah.
Well, that or the band just said... No.
Right. Yeah, that's a very, very good possibility.
I mean, it's a smart move. Nobody should downplay this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely serious, but everybody panics. It's just precautionary.
Yeah.
We're trying to stop the spread of infection. We're not right now because we're in a room.
Oh, there's only 3. There's only 3 of us.
Yeah.
And we're not 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
I feel like because of this whole thing, like new media as a whole, like YouTube and what we're doing now, podcasting and things. I think it's gonna really boom because TV's they're not dead, obviously, but TV shows and daytime television, it doesn't exist at the moment.
New media is just going to be booming with new content.
Yeah.
Which is what people want.
Yeah.
They don't want to keep watching reruns of stuff.
I don't know what shows like Ellen and stuff are doing. I've heard that SportsCenter,
they're all doing it from home.
They're all doing it from home. Basically what the YouTube community already does. So it's
been doing this shit for years.
Pretty much, yeah. But
I started streaming mostly because I was bored.
Yeah, no, I very much enjoy.
It's fun. I really enjoy. The first night I did it, I got so much joy out of it.
Yeah,
because I had spent the whole day. The first stream that we did, I had spent the whole day just kind of feeling paranoid about the whole coronavirus thing and everything.
Right. Yeah.
And then after I did the stream, I just felt really good, and I was like, you know what? It's that if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And now's the perfect time because you have the extra time, or at least most people have the extra time to create and put things online, and a lot of people have the extra time to view that. So
Which also, if you post to Instagram like I do, you don't have to post at a certain time. You know how they say, like, best time to post is between 1 and 3.
Yeah.
You don't have to anymore because everyone's at home and they're on their computers and cell phones.
Right.
At a constant. I posted that Destroya thing. I think I posted it at 6 o'clock at night. It's my second most liked post.
Yeah. They won't hear this, I'm sure, but a shout out to the band that does our theme music, Easy Tiger. Speaking of stream, they did a stream of a concert.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
So people are finding their ways to get their stuff out there. And...
Improvise, adapt, overcome.
You should ask them if they'll do, like, they should have contacted Netflix to do, like, the theme music for that Tiger King. Which, that is something that, in my time in quarantine, I'm really looking forward to start watching.
Yeah,
just because I've seen a couple of clips.
I keep hearing about it.
This is so weird that I have to watch it.
Yeah, it's definitely something.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I hope we didn't bum you out.
Yeah, I know. That just came out of nowhere.
I hope we didn't bum you out with this prolonged conversation about the coronavirus.
To our half an hour coronavirus update.
Make sure to wash your hands. Yeah.
Stay 6 feet apart.
Well,
is it time?
I think now's the time. We had a movie.
No.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I had.
Feel free to.
Some other Star Wars related theory news to bring up.
Well, the whole novelization finally came out, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Is that where this come from?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it didn't. But a lot of people are speculating. There's a lot of people speculating, and it was a Redditor, and I forget what the name of the Redditor was. But nobody's really like dismissing this theory at all, because now with the novelization and all this cloning crap that came out, nobody is dismissing it because they're like, okay, like. I don't see why not now.
Yeah, Disney's just opened the realm. They've opened Pandora's box at this point.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. But the theory is that Snoke is a clone of, ready? Tarkin.
I mean, they do look kind of similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
But since Snoke was nobody, the Emperor used... His theory is the Emperor cloned Tarkin because Tarkin was involved in the Republic.
Mm-hmm.
He was an officer. So it's very conceivable that he had his DNA. And even after he died, he had all... if the Emperor was smart, he had DNA of every one of his higher-ups, just in case.
Yeah.
So he...
Wasn't it canon that he did clone Vader at one time?
Yes, he did. But he, would have had all this DNA and everything, and then he put, his powers into Snoke.
Right.
Once he cloned, Tarkin and everything, and that's why he's all deformed and everything, is because it's all the dark side energy that was never supposed to be in Tarkin. And Tarkin's a tall dude. Peter Cushing was a tall guy.
Yeah.
So, Snoke's really tall. The British accent...
He basically looked eye to eye with Vader, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
And Vader's
6'5".
Yeah, something like that.
But, nobody's dismissing it because they're going, well, Palpatine was a clone, so why not?
I don't hate that.
No, I'm fine with that because
Yeah.
I said, and Shawn remembers, I said from Force Awakens that he looked like Tarkin.
Yeah.
He had the same, facial structure as Tarkin.
Well, that was a theory that he, survived the Death Star explosion.
Which sounds really weird. But I'm totally fine with that being true, that Snoke was a clone of Tarkin. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
the thing I don't really... No, that's the one I'm fine with. It's Palpatine being a clone is what I'm not okay with.
That one's just...
That one's stupid, in my opinion.
We talked at length about that last episode.
Yeah. We're not going to go back into that. But I thought that was a nice... Since we talked about that last time, that was a nice little add-on, being that people are still talking about the theories surrounding
Tarkin was only in 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He was in Rebels and Clone Wars.
Okay.
Actually, he got to know Anakin on a mission, and they didn't really like each other at all. And then they started to like respect each other's leadership by the end of the episode. And then Tarkin says something at the end of what does he say at the end of the episode? I look forward to working with you again, Skywalker. But he never knows the whole time he's working with Vader that's Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, he doesn't know.
No, because nobody knows that Anakin survived.
Oh.
Yeah. The Emperor
They just know
knows,
that Darth Vader rose.
Yeah, watch your career with great interest.
Yeah, only the Emperor and Obi-Wan knew.
And Ahsoka.
They were the only ones who knew that Anakin was Vader.
Huh.
Nobody else knew.
Yeah, see, my knowledge past the movies really isn't that strong. But
some stuff you don't really want to know.
Yeah.
Some stuff's just really dumb.
Yeah. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was like, hey, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Yeah.
A lot of people would probably argue, though, well, that just makes the universe smaller.
Yeah, that is a complaint that comes around. But,
yeah.
What do you do? People just are creatively bankrupt at this point. So
I'm a sucker for nostalgia, so give it to me. I don't care.
I mean, when you look at it that way, like, I get it, creatively bankrupt and everything. But when you introduce a new character, you get all the... I hate to say it, but you get all the boomers who are like, who's this guy? Like, I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, they're like, I don't know who Snoke is. And they go, Tarkin, the guy from 4. Oh, okay. Like, I get it.
Yeah, I feel like I could have had that,
guy
conversation with my father.
Your father?
And, not to, it's not diminishing that, but people like recognizable things to tie it back to something else.
Yeah.
They like breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Us people that like to dig into stuff and know lore and whatnot.
I like learning that one thing connects to another. That's cool for me.
Yeah. It's the people that dig even deeper than us. They're like, that's lazy writing or whatever. It's like I like shit being connected,
Excuse me.
Well, I'll try again.
No, wait!
We had a recommendation last week from Aaron.
Was it last week or was it 2 weeks
ago? Last time. Take us away.
Okay, my recommendation... Oh, I cannot wait for this. Was Roland Emmerich's American remake, reboot, I should say, because it did not remake the original movie.
Yeah.
Was his 1998 reboot, Godzilla, starring Matthew Broderick, Hank Azaria, Maria Patillo, Harry Shearer, and the woman who voices Bart in 2 or 3 scenes.
Yeah.
But I grew up on all the old Godzilla movies, and when I was 4, this movie was coming out. So I had already had a love for the Japanese Godzilla, and then my mom and dad were like, there's a new Godzilla coming out in America, and I was like, no way. And I never saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
Never saw it in the theater. I saw it when it came out on home video on VHS. And it was not as engaging as the Japanese ones, but I still enjoyed it, and I watched it. I had all of the figures. I had all the baby Godzillas, all the electronic Godzillas where he shot the fire thing out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And you had the tanks and stuff. I didn't have many of the tanks, but I had all the Godzillas. And they all went with all my Japanese Godzillas and everything. And I never hated this movie. And then when I got older, I realized that there is a large percentage of Godzilla fans that absolutely despise this movie and this incarnation. And as a kid, I was like, it's not what I'm used to, but hey, it's cool.
You know what analogy just popped in my head? Where I'm coming from, you like this movie, and it's universally hated by Godzilla fans. I'm gonna give you an example of the equivalent of that for me. One of my favorite Metallica albums is Saint Anger, which everybody hates because it was the first one I ever bought, front to back. So.
Yeah, and
that's what you made me think of when you were describing that.
And this movie, there's a large majority of people who hate this, but there are people who love this movie, and I can't say that it's a good movie. Like, if you sit back and watch it for a movie, it's not great, but it's fun. Like, I enjoy just watching it because there are just so many memorable things from it for me. I don't know why, but I can just see so many different things. And I'm not going to say things because we're going to talk about plot points and everything. But there are just so many memorable moments for me that I can't shake it. And there was like a period of a couple years where I was like, yeah, it's stupid, it's not that great. Then I was like, nah, I was like, you love this movie. Like, don't deny it. You love this movie. And it's funny because, so a little bit of background. Godzilla died in the movie Godzilla vs. Destroyer in 1995. All of those movies in the 90s were distributed by TriStar, who produced this movie. So TriStar was in talks with Toho to produce their own Godzilla movie. And they were like, why don't you do it? So through the 90s, they had a bunch of different scripts. And one of them almost happened in 1994. And it never ended up happening. Stan Winston designed the original Godzilla that was going to be in the movie. And it looked really cool. It looked like Godzilla. And they never ended up shooting it. They had puppets. They had like animatronics and stuff that they were ready to do. There was a teaser that didn't have any footage, but it said coming 1994, blah, 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 Godzilla from TriStar Pictures. And it never happened. So they abandoned that.
So there's a Godzilla design. Like, have we seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's pictures of it?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's so many different, like, production stills and everything, like, of the model and everything.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I...
No, and I'm
going to have to look that up.
The script is also available. Somebody actually made a comic out of it.
Oh, okay.
Which was cool. But he fights this thing called the Griffin in that. And it's like this... it's a griffin. It's a big, giant, like, lion-based creature that has wings, and it flies. And they built a puppet of it. Like, there's a production still of the puppet on the wires that they were shooting with it.
Wow.
And... But that movie never saw the light of day, so they abandoned that script. TriStar still had the rights, so after 1995, they got Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, who also produced Independence Day 2 years prior.
And some other crappy movie.
Yes.
I forget what it's called.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember what it was called. But I know exactly what you're talking about. So they... gave them the opportunity. They kind of tore up the script and started from square one.
They tore up that one you just mentioned?
Yeah. There's like literally no, like the Griffin doesn't exist.
Yeah.
None of that stuff is in that draft. So they rewrote the script, retooled the monster, redid all this stuff, and put together one of the most hilarious casts I've ever seen in a movie. Oh, I forgot to mention, Jean Reno is also a lead in this movie. And so they put that all together, and we ended up with the masterpiece that is Godzilla 1998. And everybody gets confused. When I say... Like, I'll talk about the movie that came out a year later that Japan produced called Godzilla 2000.
Yeah.
It came out in 1999, and it was a retaliation against what Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin did, where because they were done. Toho was done with Godzilla. They said, we're done. We're not doing another one. He's dead, but we left, we brought Junior back at the end, and we're just leaving it at that. Like, you can't stop Godzilla.
So there was never originally supposed to be another one?
No. And they said, we brought back Godzilla. It's just symbolic. You can't stop him. He's a force of nature. He'll always be there. But they're like, we're not going to do another one. So then they came out with the movie in 1998, and Toho was like, So then they started production of their own, and they redesigned Godzilla. And that's actually one of the better ones, Godzilla 2000, which I did see in theaters.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
I saw it in the Clarion Theater when I was 5.
Wow.
And that was a really cool experience for me to see a Godzilla movie in theaters as a kid. Because that was just unheard of. And none of the other Millennium movies that came after that were in American theaters except for Final Wars, and that was never at a theater near me.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to see it until it came out on DVD. But yeah, it has a long history of being absolutely hated and loved. But if I have to pick 2 Roland Emmerich movies that I like, it's Independence Day and this movie. But I'm eager to hear what you guys have to say about it. And I'll jump in once we get to certain plot points and give my opinion, but I'm eager to hear what you guys have to say.
I don't know, like, we're just giving, like, general overall.
Yeah.
Holy shit, was this long.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't hate it.
No, I don't.
It doesn't feel that way to me when I watch it,
Yeah.
but it is long. Is
So
it like 2.5 hours long or something?
yeah.
Or 2 hours and 16 minutes.
Yeah, it's fucking long.
So my story with the length, and I forget what part I paused at, but I started to get hungry. I watched it I started at I don't know 10:30 or something. So I paused it. I'm like, there's probably not much longer, but I'm getting hungry. So I paused it, and it said 49 minutes left. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh, you were probably just at the part where they were in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. This... Anyway, I did not hate it. Some general thoughts are, for me, wow, I don't remember Godzilla looking this terrible. Because, it took me 20 years, basically, to see this. As a kid, I remember seeing all the ads
Mm-hmm.
and everything, and I'm like, this looks awesome. And I just never seen it.
Yeah.
But I remember loving the ads, and every time it come on, I'd be like, yeah, I want to see that. And, because, I remember I have vivid memories of being at my grandma's, and I'm watching old school Godzilla stuff. And, my mom and my cousin used to babysit me, but they would all, how do you like this stuff?
Yeah.
And I think what made me like it was I was a big Power Rangers fan as a kid.
Oh yeah, it's in tokusatsu.
Yeah.
Japanese.
So
suit
I always knew that it was a similar production almost. The shots and the
It was all in the same
people.
vein.
It's people in outfits with a toy city.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So
it has a charm to it.
yeah. So I always liked Godzilla. So when I saw the ads coming for this, I'm like, this looks awesome. But yeah, Godzilla does not look good. His overall design is...
I liked it enough because it was different. It's recognizable. You have the big spines. You have the roar.
His arms are too damn long.
Oh, yeah. He's like a human. He's like a humanoid.
That was weird to me watching this movie. From his neck up to his head, I like that.
Yeah.
But his body just was weird.
Yeah, it was very human-like.
Yeah. I don't know how deep I should go, but I found myself really liking the main scientist. I am not going to remember names.
Nick Papadopoulos.
Yeah.
Nick
Matthew
Tatopoulos.
Broderick?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Nick Tatopoulos is his name, but they keep...
I know, they keep making that joke
of butchering his name.
That's interesting that you feel that way, because I think that he is the single most out-of-place character in the entire movie.
I liked him. I don't know why.
He does not belong in this movie. He literally seems so out of place. I don't know, it's is it just because he's too chipper? I don't know. It seemed like they put Matthew Broderick in front of the lens and they're like, okay, go. And he just kind of fucking did whatever. He seems so out of place the entire time.
He seems so out of place, but now that you think back on the movie, he's the most calm of everyone. Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on.
Maybe that's what it is. He seems like a dumbass because he's literally face to face with this humongous creature, and he's just like, "How's it going, sweetie?" It's you are gonna fucking get eaten.
Yeah,
and everybody's just
army. He's standing there, and this thing is 6 feet away from him. The nostrils are flaring at him, and he's looking at the guys who have their guns drawn, ready to fire, and he's like, don't do that. And it's are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This huge 90-meter tall thing is about ready to murder
That has
you.
to be it.
I don't know.
It seems like he's not taking the situation seriously.
Well, no. Remember, like when they are bringing in all of the fish trucks to create the bait.
I thought they were bringing concrete in. That's what I thought.
So he brings in all the fish, and like there's that famous line, and this is a line that is just memed throughout the Godzilla community. It's that's a lot of fish.
I loved it.
Like, it's such a dumb line.
See, here's the part of me loving dumb shit. But I love that line. I was like, that was funny. It made me pop.
The script is just, like, so convenient. Like, he is a mutation scientist, and he's working in Chernobyl, the after effects of these earthworms.
Yeah.
And then, like, so the beginning scene is Godzilla destroying this Japanese freighter. Yeah, so that happens, and then the U.S. government thinks, I guess, what is it? The Pan-Pacific Islands? It's just kind of like, we have territory over there, so we're investigating, what the fuck is going on to our ships. And
that was another thing that I brought up to Shawn. Not to interrupt you, but real quick, that Japanese cannery ship that they said was sunk off French Polynesia. Okay. So think about that. That's in the Pacific, right? Near French Polynesia. That's way down, like, just below, like, Indonesia and all that. So that cannery ship was washed up, like, where? Like, near some Jamaican islands? And I'm like, how the fuck did it get, like, 5,000 miles and wash inland over there?
Yeah, I wasn't paying that much attention at that point, but...
Because they show up on the island...
Yeah.
And the general's taking Nick,
yeah.
or the colonel's taking Nick through the wreckage, and they see the footprints, and they follow the footprints to the ocean, and the ship is there, and I'm like, and then later in the movie they show where French Polynesia is, and they show the trail that goes right up to Manhattan, and I'm like, how did that ship get from this point all the way up to here?
Yeah, but my point being, it's just like, that's his job, and then, so they're investigating what happened, and he said he was in the middle of a 3-year-long investigation. He's like, my work isn't done here. It's like, well, the U.S. government needs you now. And so he goes and is working with them now. And it's just like, he's a biologist, sure, but you had no inclination that this was a mutated lizard.
Yeah.
So why are you bringing him on to your task force? It doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't, but I think they knew something that they weren't telling him initially, that they knew that it was some kind of a mutation. Well, no, they did know. That's why they brought him. Remember when he lands and the colonel's taking him through, everybody there had Geiger counters that were testing the radioactivity.
I guess he is a radioactive.
Oh, right.
So they knew that there was something odd about whatever this creature was. So that's probably why they brought. But it was like you recognize that after, but it seems so jarring that they're like, why the fuck are you bringing the worm guy in?
Yeah.
Which is also another Ryan joke, the worm guy.
Yeah.
They call him oh, and by the way, the butchering of the last name and calling him the worm guy is a reference to Roland Emmerich butchering the original character of Godzilla.
But yeah, it's just like full of conveniences like that. And I feel like the only likable character is Animal, because he's just trying to do his fucking job.
Hank Azaria.
Like, everybody else, Nick is a dumbass, and his girlfriend is a total bitch.
Yeah, I hate her.
Like,
Audrey.
I liked her for some parts.
For a split second.
Yeah.
She literally...
And then she steals that footage. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
That's another point to illustrate that Nick is a dumbass, is because when they're talking and then they go, when they're like, Dr. Nick Papadopoulos believes the creature may be nesting, and he's sitting there watching like this, watching on the TV as Chuck Kamen is doing his thing, and everybody goes, and they all turn and like look at him, and he's like, huh? Like, and they're like, you gave her the tape? And he's like, huh? No. No. Like, he's completely oblivious to everything that is going on.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing leading up into Audrey coming to his tent. As if there wouldn't be some kind of security, be like, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Like
she had the press clearance and everything, and Nick, like, walks her to his tent, but you think that there would be, like, guards that would be, like, stationed directly outside his tent or something.
Right.
And whenever he runs off because comes up with the fish idea or the nesting idea.
No, he finds out that Godzilla is pregnant.
Yeah. Whenever he comes up with that and he runs out of the tent, you'd think that the guards would be there and be like, get the fuck out. Like,
yeah. If not when they're walking to his tent, it would be when, like, he left and now she's trying to get away, like, get out of there.
After she stole the tape and everything. Yeah, it's the only characters I liked were Animal and was his name Pierre?
Philippe.
Yeah, Philippe.
Which one was Animal?
The friend Animal was the cameraman.
Okay, yes, I like him.
He's a good character.
Yeah. Like at first I was like, he's an idiot too because he gets the footage of Godzilla in the street,
and then the foot conveniently
steps,
and he's in between each claw.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
I remember
some of
you laughing at that part.
Yeah, some of the lines and things you could tell that it was made in the early 2000s and 90s because his girlfriend calls him a retard.
I remember that part. Yeah.
It began whenever Principal Skinner
Harry Shearer.
Yeah, whenever he's talking to Audrey and he's like, have a date with me. And it's
have dinner with me.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? Like, this is some creepy shit.
I didn't like that guy.
And then...
No one's supposed to.
Okay. And then in the next scene...
He was in Spinal Tap, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the next scene, or the scene before that...
the handlebar mustache.
Okay.
I thought he had the big beard.
No, he had the big handlebar
Either
mustache.
way. Either way, the scene before or directly after that one chick is calling Nick a cutie. I turned to Aaron, I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
Which is funny because nothing ever happened. Like,
I honestly think that they did that just to be like, hey, our two main characters are sexy. Like them. It's like, what the fuck is... It's so bizarre.
There's an animated series that came out after this, which is regarded as better than the movie.
Yeah.
Because in that series, Godzilla...
My niece watches it, to this day.
So let's fast forward just a little bit and then we can bounce back. But at the end of the movie, after Godzilla is killed and the camera goes back to Madison Square Garden. After all the resolution's done and everything, and the camera goes and zooms into Madison Square Garden, and in the locker room, the ceiling had collapsed, and there's one egg that's still there, and it hatches open, and a baby Godzilla roars and lunges at the camera, and then it cuts to black because they were going to do a sequel that never happened. Instead, TriStar did an animated series using that Godzilla as the main character. And in that, Godzilla breathes radioactive fire, he's indestructible to conventional weapons, and he fights other monsters. So that series is regarded way higher. But in that series, Elsie, the redhead, and Nick are a couple.
Oh.
Audrey is nowhere to be seen in that series at all.
It's so weird.
So while it was really weird in the movie, it does play into the animated series.
What's the redhead's name again?
Elsie.
When she first gets introduced to Nick, her openly being attracted to him was very awkward.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, we're doing that.
Yeah, it was so out of left field. It made no sense.
No, and that's Roland Emmerich's directing.
And
it's just really weird and awkward for everyone involved.
So Godzilla looks bad, CGI wise and design wise. The script sucks. None of the characters are likable,
except for Animal.
Yeah, except for Animal.
And Philippe's not that bad.
Yeah,
either.
I do like him. They're the only two people I like.
That whole thing was weird building up to that.
It was
building up.
I thought they were
that they were in on it. Because up until he kidnaps Nick, and they take him to the warehouse where they have all their weapons, and he tells them, "My country's responsible for Godzilla existing because of our nuclear tests."
Yeah,
you have no idea who these guys are. They're camped out in hotel rooms with surveillance equipment, and you're just like, "Who the hell are these French guys? And what do they want? Is their point in all of this?"
And at that point, it was almost like they were trying to shoot it in the aspect that oh, you're not going to like these guys.
That was what they were trying to do, yeah. And then whenever the
but
U.S. government turns on Nick...
But at the same time that they were like, you're not going to like these guys, they were still trying to make them comedic.
Yeah.
Which I was like, what is this?
Do
I hate them? Do I like them?
I did like the first scene, but it still didn't like give you any inkling to who they were or what they were doing, which may have been one of the better plot points of the movie. Is you don't know who the French guys are, but you know that they are closely monitoring Nick and the whole situation. But that opening scene where after the cannery ship is sunk and it goes to wherever they were, and the one survivor, the old man on the ship, and he is like terror stricken and he won't talk, and then they're asking him like questions and he's not responding, and then Jean Reno takes the lighter out and he like turns and looks at it and he asks him what he saw and he says Gojira.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was a cool scene.
It was, but I was just very confused who they were until they kidnapped Nick.
My favorite part of this movie was them going through the tunnels and then getting to Madison Square Garden, and then that whole set piece. Everything with the big Godzilla, I didn't give a fuck about.
Yeah.
And they're so quick. Like, Godzilla has almost no screen time.
Yeah.
Like, what, in the first attack that he had on New York, he's obscured by everything.
Yeah, you only see his, like, foot, basically.
Like, when he comes over the bridge and, like, comes up and the boats are dropping off him, he's covered in, like, the boats. You can't see him. Mm-hmm. You see the fins, but then the mayor's giving his speech and everything starts, like, shaking and everything. And you look at the building and all you see are the fins, like, through the smoke cloud.
Yeah.
You don't see him. And even when Animal has the camera, you can't see his face or anything because it's all distorted.
And I actually like that.
Yeah, that's cool. But like Shawn said, there's one scene in Madison Square Garden when the guy goes, they're counting the eggs, and he's like, there's more than 20 eggs here. And then the guy goes over and cuts the locks on the breaker gate, opens it up, and turns the lights on, and everything just like, there's a musical cue that's awesome. And then the lights all like turn on and like the spotlights hit everything. And then Jean Reno turns towards him and he says, start counting. And like, that's cool. And then they look around and there's just eggs everywhere.
Yeah, honestly, that I agree with Shawn there.
Because that's more terrifying.
Yeah.
It really is. It is scary.
But it also just turns into Jurassic Park.
Yes, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park Part 2.
Speaking of which, I think that for the most part, the fucking baby Godzillas are pretty bad looking too. With a few exceptions.
Yeah.
And that's because they used an actual practical robot.
Yeah.
Which is, what Jurassic Park did, which looks far better than this movie. And I think that it is because on top of the CGI that they used actual animatronics.
Yeah.
It blended well together, whereas Large Godzilla is strictly CGI the entire movie, and it looks bad.
Yeah.
There are some parts that look fucking terrible.
When they blow up Madison Square Garden, because they... So this part of the plot is they find out that the eggs are there, they're setting up C4 to blow up the nest, to kill all the baby Godzillas before they hatch, and they start hatching as they're trying to attach the explosives. So... bear in mind, Godzilla laid these eggs like 3 days prior, and they are hatching right then and there. So there's what do you say, a couple hundred of them, I think, that were in there? Over 200 eggs, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
So there are 200 baby Godzillas in here, and they are scrambling to get out of Madison Square Garden because they finally, Jean Reno's character had a number for Nick to call to send a bomber to blow up Madison Square Garden, which he couldn't get through. So their next thing that they could do is one guy who we meet when Audrey takes the tape and the guy's editing it to put it together into her segment for the news. We finally come back to him when she asks him to put them on live, and then he's saying that he's not going to put them on live, and then the animal turns the camera and shows all the baby Godzillas leaving out of the bowl. And he puts them on, and then they tell the military, hey, you need to blow up Madison Square Garden, like, immediately, because if these things get out, we're going to have a much bigger crisis on our hands. So they get to the point where they get into the lobby, and all the baby Godzillas are there at the door, like, waiting to get out. And then, like, at that point, you're like, how the hell are they supposed to get out of this? And then Jean Reno takes his machine gun and, like, shoots down the lighting fixtures to at least, like, spook them enough where they could run through them to get out, which was clever. I mean, I thought that part was fine.
It was interesting. I thought it was a little not realistic. Not that this movie needs to be realistic, but I just don't think that it would scare them long enough to keep doing that. But
no, they should have been eaten. But, so then the bomber blows it up, but there's another cool scene, and it's where it's shot where the building's blown up, the bodies are everywhere, and they're like sitting there, and they're talking to each other, and there seems to be like the resolution there, and then there's a crane shot that like pulls back, and like if you had not watched it before, you're probably thinking, oh, that's the end. Good for them. And then you hear like the low bellow, and then you see the debris shoot up, and Godzilla's head comes out of the debris underneath Madison Square Garden, and then turns towards them and sees the dead babies and starts like nudging one of them, and it doesn't get up, and he just looks right at them. Which I thought, like, going back and rewatching that, I like that scene a lot.
Yeah,
because
I did too,
it gives you that false sense of, oh, that's the ending, and then you're like,
it should be the ending.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh shit, Godzilla's alive still.
Yeah.
Whenever they blow up Madison Square Garden should be the end of the movie. We don't need another 20 to 30 minutes of Godzilla chasing them in a taxi through the fucking city.
Oh yeah, that's actually.
No, can we also add that O'Neill is a dumbass? Like the biggest dumbass ever. He's what he's a major or something?
Yeah.
And when they find out that he can burrow, and he goes, how many tunnels lead off the island? He's like, 14, sir, we checked them all. He hasn't used any of them. And he's like, all right, we'll have them sealed up. And then he goes, yes, sir. And then he comes back 2 seconds later, and he goes, how are we supposed to do that? And he's like, you brick them up, fill them with bombs. I don't care. He's like, just do it.
Just do something.
Yeah, like, I was like, shouldn't that dude just be like, yes, sir, and then just, like, go and, like, do that? Instead of come back and be like, so how do you want us to do that?
He was very much a dumbass.
And then that was one of the other lines, is after they have to shoot at Godzilla, after they lose communication contact the first time that he's eating the fish, and then they can't get contact back with O'Neill, and then the colonel tells him, he's like, just fire at will, and then they start firing on him, and then he jumps into the river and all that, and then O'Neill says, he's like, I can't believe this, he did all this and we did nothing to him, and Nick goes, well, that's not true, we fed him.
I like that
But
one.
that just like solidifies Shawn's thing that Nick is just a stupid ass.
Yeah, he's such a dumb person. What a dumbass. Ugh.
So after I watched this, I don't know, Shawn, I think you have heard of him. I watched the Nostalgia Critic.
Oh yeah.
For this one, and one thing he brought up that I thought was very interesting, because I knew it felt familiar, but there's several scenes that they stole from Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
Like straight up,
Godzilla
just
chasing the car.
Yeah.
Was the T-Rex chasing the Jeep.
Yeah.
Most of the Velociraptor stuff.
Yeah.
Baby Godzillas.
Yeah, that specifically.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like
so,
the Honest
it's a better
trailers.
movie.
Well, it is. But Honest trailers even said they're like, get ready for a movie that was clearly based off Jurassic Park's success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was what, like 5 years earlier?
Yes, 1993.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what could they have removed from the movie to make it better? Like, I kind of I meant like in the sequence of the timeline, because
the Audrey stuff.
I kind of like.
Audrey stuff is stupid.
While I think that the ending of the movie should have been when they blew up Madison Square Garden, I don't hate the taxi stuff. Like that's the most entertaining Godzilla stuff that happened in the actual movie.
Yeah, I kind of liked when they let him out onto the bridge and the F-18s.
Like,
when he gets tied up.
That's what they could take out. All those terrible helicopter scenes. Like of the.
Yeah.
Cut that shit right out. Like, I know that it's supposed to be like, oh, he's invincible or whatever, but it was fucking terrible.
And it wasn't. He wasn't even invincible.
Yeah.
No, because they clearly penetrated his...
Yeah, and that's the one thing that everybody... That's one reason everybody hates this Godzilla, like this incarnation of him, is because when he gets shot at, he just runs away.
Yeah.
He doesn't stand there and, like, takes it. He just literally runs from fire from all these different... artillery.
There was one time where he used like a fire breath, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was like
fire breath
there was
twice.
Humvees chasing him, shooting machine guns, and he stopped and turned around and he did like that dragon breath ignited.
Yeah, I didn't like
thing.
that.
It was okay.
Because I need that beam that I see over there.
yeah, the beam is a lot cooler.
Yeah. What is it? Don't they call
Atomic
it like
breath.
a gamma ray? Oh, atomic breath.
Yeah.
Gamma ray. What am I
That's
thinking?
Hulk.
That's Hulk.
Do we have anything else to?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the point of these, I don't think, is to give like an
in-depth review.
Yeah, in-depth review or overview of the plot. So we just kind of discuss
things that we liked, things we
yeah.
didn't like.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a fun movie.
I'm not wishing for my...
Shut your brain off and just, like, watch it.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it for what
I don't think I'll visit it very, anytime soon again.
No, I agree.
I mean, I am glad after 20 years that I finally watched it. But
I like the score a lot to it.
Mm-hmm.
Opening sequence was really cool. All the nuke montages of, like, the bombs going off. And then they kept showing the iguanas, like the marine iguanas.
Right.
I thought those were neat.
Wonder if this movie would have been better if there was another monster.
That's what I like to think, is that would it have been better had there been another monster?
Because
well, not all, like, even some of the best Godzilla movies don't necessarily need a second monster.
No.
But
yeah.
No, like,
it might have been better.
Well, like the first original Godzilla, was there a monster?
No, it was just him.
Just him.
And Shin Godzilla is amazing, and it is just him.
Right.
Godzilla. Godzilla 1985, which is one of my favorites, it's just him. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Just him versus like military.
Yeah, the Japanese military.
Yeah.
There are a couple really good ones where there's another monster, but for the most part, I think having him as the main antagonist is a good way to keep it.
Yeah.
I always like when he's the main antagonist. And that's what I thought Gareth Edwards' Godzilla was going to be. Was just him as the main antagonist. Because that's what the original teaser trailer kind of led you to believe, is that Godzilla was the lead monster, and then it wasn't.
Showed the Mudos.
Yeah, they shoved that.
Who I thought it was going to be Rodan whenever I first saw it.
Everybody thought it was Rodan or Mothra. They couldn't tell which one it was, and then it just turned out it was a brand new monster. Which is cool. I mean, I'm all for adding monsters to the what's the word I'm looking for?
Canon?
Yeah.
The mythos?
Yeah.
Is that the right term?
Well, if we don't have anything else to say,
what
would you guys rate it?
6 out of 10.
I think I'm gonna go 5 out of 10.
I'm going to go with a 4.5 out of 10, similar to my Rockstar review. Same number. I think I enjoyed Rockstar more than this, though.
Well, Shawn and I watched it together, and there were a lot of parts where he just kind of like put his face in his hands and was kind of laughing at the dialogue.
Yeah,
I mean, I gotta be honest. I kind of wish I would have watched this one with you guys, because I think it'd been hilarious to discuss it at that moment. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it was interesting, to say the least.
Like, I'm not wishing for my time back, you know. It was okay.
Like I said
There are
before,
a few movies that I would.
the plot was pretty stupid. Godzilla looked bad. None of the characters were likable. Like, among other things, it's just like, yeah, I the only parts I liked were the baby Godzilla parts, and then that was even kind of a stupid plot point, but whatever.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, Shawn,
Roland Emmerich doesn't make a lot of movies anymore, so
yeah,
we're safe
Shawn, I think it is your turn.
to pick one.
Yes, I have a recommendation for us next time. I am caught between two movies at the moment. One to be kind of sticking with the theme here that we have just had with Godzilla, and then another one that I had off the top of my head. But I think I'm going to go with the former, and Aaron's going to think that I'm pushing in on his turf with this one, but I had this idea before he even brought it up. So my recommendation is going to be Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Is that the
I'm very excited about this because I've been wanting to revisit this
Is that the
with one with Jack Black.
Okay. I didn't know he was in it.
Adrian Brody.
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, I love this movie.
Yeah.
Now I know I loved Godzilla, but this is actually much better.
2005 King Kong
I was gonna say 2000
by Peter Jackson.
I think I owned it out here. But...
I'm not going to force you guys to watch the extended edition because it is already a gruelingly long movie at points.
Yeah, I think it's 3 hours long, and the extended edition is 5 hours.
Yeah,
long.
so
Yeah,
I mean,
I have it on 3 discs.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah.
so I will elect to. We're just gonna go with a theatrical release with this one.
Okay.
Perfectly fine.
Unless you guys want to watch the extended edition, but
I'm good. I've watched the extended.
I would
cut.
prefer
It's
not
okay.
to. I've never watched it. I have no desire to watch it though. I just wanted to revisit this one because it's been probably over 10 years since I've watched it. So,
Good movie.
Wow.
so yeah. King Kong, next episode. If you don't want to be spoiled for 2005's Peter Jackson King Kong, watch it before our next episode's released.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching and
It's
listening.
gonna be a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna record ourselves watching it.
We're gonna read the script.
Thank you for sitting through our coronavirus talk. Let us know what you think about the state of movies right now and media in general. What you thought about Godzilla. And we'll see you next time. Make sure to wash your hands.
Stay 6 feet apart.
Later, everyone.